Here we go. We provide overview and clarity. That means we derive the cash flow management tool from big companies in an app for young people. We have a scientific proof that we solve the problem of mental accounting. That means we enable a human brain to make rational finance decisions. We have a validated MVP Plus and a patent algorithm. And this is how it works. You connect your bank account and we analyze your transactions. For example, your income, what is planned, and we align it in real time what actually happens in your account. Same for the fixed cost. Everything that's planned for this month and what really happens in your account. Your variable costs are collected automatically. And we provide a rest budget diagram that tells you how much money you can exactly spend, because your account balance doesn't tell you that. And with the month cycle, you see exactly how much time you've left for that kind of money, if you're behind or in front of it. And also real-time alignment for financial costs, loans that you pay, or saving plans. And all that combined in a dashboard. You have a color coach that provides you a feedback if you have a healthy financial lifestyle and what should change. Forecast of the account balance up to 12 months. That's the tool. 79% of the users actually want to use that on a subscription based. That's huge. We provide unique and ongoing value. So what we do, we make sure that at the end of the money, there's no month left. And from now on, we take the user to a journey. We ensure that insurances is quite easy to sign up like on Netflix. At one point, the user wants to have a banking card for international transactions and withdrawal. Also, digital currencies introduced 2025. We have a solution for that. And the end of the journey is saving and investing in the financial market. We have a demo tested with users and ready to execute. So what we do is we do not treat the symptoms, we solve the cause by providing one single touch point. So users can come in with any bank account and we take them early. Little customer acquisition costs, we grow with them over years, high potential lifetime value. But the hidden champion is the data we've got. We can have recommendation engines, we can have behavior-based advertising, and also link that to CO2 consumption. So we can influence your CO2 footprint. That's the hidden potential. We have a diversified team and experienced. Konstantin worked in fintech companies before, is responsible for operations. Alisa at BMW, responsible for marketing. I previously founded a company and responsible for the product. We have a staff ready to execute. We do not need to onboard them. So what's the status quo? We have a validated MVP plus, we have a clear vision, we have a business model, we have a team, we have a patent algorithm in place. Now we raised 750,000 euros to get the product stable for market-ready version, then gain traction with our cash management tool to 15,000 users, and then collect the capital that's needed to build our ecosystem. And from that capital, we have very interesting angels already committed, and now we're looking for at least 250,000 more euros, and maybe one of you will be part of our cap table in the future. Thank you very much. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, since a couple of slides haven't been mentioned here.
How do you get customers?
Yeah. So we have two channels. We have a linear basement, which is education. We have schools that we partner up. Now it's 5 schools. We have companies that we partner up for young talents. Every year on a contractual basis, they get these kind of education and also online courses. It's a potential of 80,000 customers every year, continuing and growing. The second part is online. I actually forgot universities, also some offline channels. And we have online channels. That means social media campaigns, Search Console in Google. This topic is actually searched by people because it's a huge problem. And this can be scaled up to 500 downloads a week. We've tested that already.
How do you compare your product to Finanzguru?
Yeah. Actually, we had a VC who wanted to invest in us. Since it's öffentliches Geld, KfW, they had to have other kind of Gutachten because we have a similarity of 68%, so they could not invest in us. So there is similarity, but the one that we make difference is that we invented a unique cash management structure. We both have the possibility to connect accounts. That's pretty much everything that we do at the same time. We try to make it the other way around. Finanzguru is building something to connect your 4 bank accounts, 8 insurances, 4 depots, and try to bring it into one context. We do it the other way around. Get the users very early and provide it with one platform, one touch point, and provide the 4 major elements of personal finance. And that's, by the way, why we call it the Finance OS. Since the iPhone didn't do anything else, it didn't invent anything except the keyboard, the digital keyboard. It just brought it together and revolutionized the touch point with the user. And we do that.
Concerning software side, at least, what are the linking points, at least, if you're speaking with different bank organizations, insurance organizations, you need at least the HMDL protocol or whatever, at least you're referring to?
So the tech behind is via PSD2 connection. And I think I got your question right, but please correct me. We get the data via PSD2 connection, and we build we actually build our platform in a way that we can internationalize. So right now we have a DAC for the German-speaking market API that we can include, but later on, if you go to Scandinavia or overseas, we have to exchange the APIs where we get the data from the banks. And banks in Europe, they have to open the API. That is the law in 2018. And let me make you an excursus. This systematic was invented in 2013. I did it for myself, and I was in an internship. I analyzed companies and how they manage their liquidity. So I did it for myself. Then I found another company, and in 2018, this regulatory change was made, and then it was clear for me that this solution that I provided to friends and friend of friends for free in Excel and PDF is now ready to actually take them to the next step. I hope that answers your question. Maybe I'll go a little bit further and show you how we make money. There are 2 ways. You can pay by data or subscribe. You have a 2-week testing phase, and then you have to commit to the solution. And this is how we generate revenue, up to €6 a month, and users pay for that. The higher the income, the more likely they pay higher fees for that. And we also have the data element where we make money. On the long term, we say it's at least €2 per user per month. And later, for the saving plan, it's 1% commission. And there's affiliate revenue in place, for example, for insurances. Later, when we do that in-app, this acquisition provision is going to triple.
Can you define data revenue?
Yeah. So Finanzguru, for example, hides in their FAQs that they use your data. We're not going to do that because we want to empower the people. You have to make a decision if you want to pay with money or with data. And if you pay with data, we can analyze it, of course not with personal information, sell it to a third party, and also use it for recommendation engines, for anything else that you can do with the data. I mean, there's tremendous potential. Just think of printing out your bank statement and giving it to some analysts. That's literally what people do when they click on pay by data. Any more questions?
You yourself or other key players in our company, are they involved in other activities, or is this your only venture?
Sorry, I didn't.
You yourself or other key persons in your company, are you involved in other business activities, or is this the one thing you're doing?
The team and our advisors, we're doing this for 2.5 years now, full time. So we have 150,000 euros in investment. I put in a bit of money from my previous company. So we built that with 130,000 euros going into the product. That's nothing. And this is why we need that kind of money to actually get to a point where we have the traction, and the team is 100% committed full time. Right. I think
Perfect, thank you.
That's it for now.
Perfect, great. And now I would like to welcome Ona McNeary from Workday to the stage. Stage is yours.
I'll just do a quick sound test. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Una McNerney, co-founder and CEO of Workdeck. And I just want to start off by reflecting on an analysis done by Morgan Stanley on the enterprise software market, where they say that a holistic tool set that becomes essential to a broad range of users can generate up to 25 billion per annum. So I just wanted to start off by showing the magnitude of the opportunity that the enterprise software market holds. So now I just want to look at the big categories of software that have emerged in recent years. So we have the CRM, so customer relationship management, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, and the ERP, the enterprise resource planner. Both big categories of software that have emerged, CRM optimizing sales, and the ERP optimizing accountancy and HR function in businesses. But if we look at the implementation space in companies today, this is quite a chaotic space in the sense that it is being serviced by a multitude of functional apps and niche tools, if you will. And this leads to a tool overload in businesses. And we haven't seen yet the platformization or the category emerge that services the implementation space. And this is exactly what Workdeck is aiming to do in the enterprise software space. And I just want to visualize the problem. So you can see the CRM and the ERP, so two clean categories. And then the space in the middle where work happens, where teams collaborate, where margins exist, where customers are serviced. This is the space that's heavily fragmented. And you have companies using anywhere between 8, 10 apps a day, and this creates high fragmentation, disconnected workplaces, and workers jumping in and out of these apps. But the big problem is it leads to data silos. So our vision is to consolidate the space over one platform. And not only do we defragment, not only do we connect the workplace and make it fluid for workers, we also create one data environment. And this is a massive opportunity for data driving work implementation. And we currently have patents pending on our first 3 algorithms in this space. Massive market, there's 1 billion knowledge workers worldwide. And interestingly, 17% of them work in mid-sized enterprises. And this is our target because mid-sized enterprises suffer heavily from the pain that's caused by the fragmentation in the implementation space. So they really suffer the productivity slide. And they're very anxious to do something about it. So when I spoke earlier about a holistic tool set that can become essential to a broad base of users, it's by us focusing on the mid-market that we aim to grow. Our first big milestone by 2030 would be to have 1 million users on the platform. Currently, we're in the conversion mode of our pilot company. So we've co-created the platform with mid-sized enterprises, and we're currently now in 2021 converting them to clients. We've won a number of awards for the quality and the innovation of our platform. And we've recently been awarded an ENISA participation loan to match our pre-seed round. Okay, I'll just quickly say that it's a massively competitive market, and anybody that knows anything about the enterprise software space knows that it's very dense with competition. But this is the opportunity in the sense that it's functional application providers or single niche tool providers that's creating the chaos in the implementation space, and we aim to solve it for the mid-market through platformization. It's a massive market, $70 billion by 2020 in the global enterprise collaboration software market. We're a B2B SaaS, so it's a subscription-based model, and our growth strategy is going to be heavily centered around channel partnerships, so value-added resellers, systems integrators, and digital transformation actors. Myself and my co-founder, we've been in business together since 2007. We set up an engineering company in the Industry 4 space, so we understand smart, data-driven environments, and we're bringing that thinking now into the workplace. Finally, just very quickly around our ask, We will be raising a seed round in 2022. We aim to raise $500,000. And just to say that our cap table is currently very clean. So after our pre-seed round with the founders, both of us, we still have 90% of the company. So that's it. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
How complex is the integration process for your clients? How long do you see? I mean, if you look at many software, it takes a long time. And the bottleneck in every company is IT resources. So how complex is this process?
It's a great question, and it's really linked to our growth strategy, whereby we see channel partners as vital for us to push this in the market, because there is an onboarding phase, there is a consolidation phase, and there is the challenge of switching costs. So most of the mid-market, they're not coming into the digitization experience virgin, they're coming in with legacy. But we have a modular platform that's so we can mix and match what companies transition to first, so they don't have to take the full platform, they can transition, and we have a very good price point as well to allow our clients to do this. So essentially we work with them over a phase of normally 3 months to onboard them and map their processes onto the platform. And to make that a scalable growth strategy, we need to channel partner this, and there will be an ecosystem around this, but very much in the same way as you have for Workday or you have for Salesforce. Okay. I hope that answered your question.
It was a little bit too fast for me.
Okay.
And it's a complicated material. So I have the question, how does it look like for the customer? So do I still have all my Zoom apps and all the tools I need? And you guys are just the platform, and to make a picture, you just implement it on this platform, and all the data is in one bucket?
Okay. So essentially, our clients will retain their CRM, and they will retain their ERP.
See, I got that.
And they will retain their communication suite, because so we don't offer, let's say, video conferencing tools. Everything else, which would be the likes of, say, the typical things that we would be displacing, would be the likes of Asana for project management, Trello for task management, things like Expensify, Travel Park, the resource planning. So we have fit for purpose tools on our platform, and the idea is that the company transitions over to those over time. And the mid-market is interested in losing all the subscriptions, not immediately, but transitioning over to a consolidated provider. And we would then have an API, so we would be integrated with the likes of Office 365, with Google Workspace. We would have the integrations with Zoom, etc. But the small kind of niche functional apps, we displace those. So those are fit for purpose, built on our platform. They're all connected and all synced. So it allows the opportunity for mid-sized enterprises to declutter their ecosystem and to move away from providers. But it's a transition.
And you develop all the functionality yourself?
We did, yeah. We co-created it with over the last 3 years with about 30 mid-sized enterprises from the knowledge verticals. So engineering, architecture, research, deep tech, marketing agencies, consultancies. We worked in a pool with these companies, and it's very much co-designed with them. I know that there can be some negative thoughts around one platform approach, but it's very flexible, very modular, and very configurable for each company.
One last question, how big is your team?
We have a team so we created the startup to commercialize. We created the startup at the beginning of this year to commercialize. There's currently 3 of us full-time in that, but we have a team of engineers from our engineering company that has been at sometimes up to 14 developers. So it's quite a big platform. We've developed it over the last 3 years with a team that's kind of fluctuated, but typically around 6-7 developers, and sometimes up to 14, depending on what we had access to.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't intend to offer the integration service yourself, but you're going through partners for the integration.
We are doing it initially at the beginning, So our early market strategy is direct sales, and we onboard and we deal directly with the customers. It's a massive source of intelligence for us still at this stage as well. So we've used an awful lot of feedback we've gotten from working directly with companies to actually improve the platform. And once we build sufficient traction and we have enough use cases, if you will, we then tend to look into the ecosystem. We've already been approached by a number of hardware integrators who are interested in bundling in a software platform like ours, but that's something that we will probably look at more heavily in 2023 and beyond. So we really want to use now 2022 as a traction building exercises. We're moving out of pilot, we're going into first revenue, and we want to use 2022 to build up some solid names, some solid business cases as well, because that's really, really important. We're dealing with the C-level in companies and mid-sized companies, and they're very much driven by KPIs and return on investment and so forth.
As you're creating IP, are you using any existing IP preferential system, regime, at least like a tax regime or whatever?
IP?
You're creating IP, at least. There are many IP boxes, at least, where the countries, at least, where you're located in
Spain.
In Spain.
Yeah.
Is there any IP preferential system in here? Tax advantages for it?
Oh, tax advantages. Yes, there are. Yeah. So there are tax advantages, especially in the early stage. There's things like patent box here, etc. So we're aware of all those and we will be using them. And as we roll out our AI roadmap, which will be very, very interesting for our product because we have so much data about what's going on in a work implementation space in a business. And that's, I think, one of our key strengths right now is we have a big pool of data from our pilot companies and we're using that data to develop algorithms. And we're working with patent attorneys in the US, not here, because here the answer tends to be software isn't patentable. Yet we now have applied for 3 patents and they're patent pending. Yeah. Yes?
How you will make money with the system? What are you offering your clients? What do you ask for your service?
Okay, so in this early market, we're currently charging 12 euros per user per month for the platform. And once we get into volumes, and we're talking like once we get to 60 users up, we start to look at a personalized contract. And we tend to favor annual and multi-annual contracts. So we kind of negotiate with the customer to get onto kind of, instead of talking monthly revenue, to talk annual or multi-annual.
Do you have contracts in the moment?
We have, yeah.
How much?
We have 6 multi-annual contracts, and we have 19 pilot companies who are paying subscription per month. Still in pilot mode, if you will.
Do you know the software workforce?
Yes.
It's similar to yours, or?
Yeah, I think so. Where we're different is we marry in the back office, so the purchases, expenses, travel management, resource planning, and then the collaborative suite. So the project management, the task management, the communication, the calendars, and also reporting, and let's say a dashboard then that becomes the front of house between the worker and the business, and also a dashboard for managers. So 360 visibility on the progress of work for managers. So it really is the digital workplace. So all the core functions in that, so where the CRM doesn't touch and where the ERP doesn't touch, we're consolidating all the functions in the workplace over our one platform. And I think, you know, we understand, and the API is critical. So we understand that there are some switching costs that are too high for some clients. They may have an app that they really want to continue using, and we would do an integration with them. So I think we have a mature enough thinking that we don't think we need to displace absolutely everything, and there can be slight overlaps in replication. And at the end of the day, what our customers are really interested in is the power of the consolidated data. So that's what because it gives them insights, even predictions that they literally cannot get from the fragmented ecosystem.
And what is the segment that you go for first? I mean, right now you have kind of customers and they're
engineering.
But
Engineering
within engineering,
research.
is there something specific within engineering where the use case is very strong and the willingness?
The complexity of the projects. So we've gone for that kind of complex environment where there's many moving parts, many multidisciplinary teams, and cross-enterprise teams collaborating together. And there is a need, because you see things like teams and you see environments where it's very much centered on the experience of collaboration. We are a step up from that in the sense that it's, okay, the experience of collaboration is very, very important, but our clients are driven by the ability to get visibility, to see trends, to spot risks. So we have gone for the kind of complex environment initially as our market entry focus. And it's one we're familiar with because we come from an engineering company ourselves and we developed it initially for ourselves. It's kind of was a digital transformation exercise in our engineering company. And that's what we've been lucky to have the development team. We're a tiny team in Workday, but we've been blessed with the development team in the engineering company because it's a massive platform and we've been able to bootstrap, if you will, linked to the engineering company as well.
Yeah, but moving forward, you're going to need quite a big development team, right? It's a complex software.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, with 500,000, let's say you need 10 developers in your team, it's not going to get you very far.
We're at a very, very strong MVP now. So our platform is very robust, very stable, and we've had companies using it in their day-to-day for the last 3 years, no problems. A lot of the 500,000 is to start to build that traction. So now we need traction, we need metrics to go for Series A.
Understood, but you still need to cover your costs, right? You still have your development team. And
okay, well the development team must be a transition over. Yeah. So we can transition them earlier or later. But what we can't hold back on now is we need user metrics. So for us, the marketing and the sales function is going to be a high priority for us now in 2022. And we've been very product heavy over the last 3 years.
but even if it's an external development team, who covers the cost for it?
Our engineering company, who's an investor.
10%.
So offering, I guess, a quite complex software. It's not a plug and play software, so you need the system integration at least within the client's environment.
Yeah.
How do you handle normally their IT backlogs all around at least? So especially as of today, at least if you, I'm owning a software company by myself, so when it comes to customer backlogs of IT, of their IT team, at least it always delays at least the integration process for a month. That's what we are facing every day. So how do you handle this, or how complex is it to integrate this software?
It depends on how much of the legacy needs to be brought into the platform to get the first wins. So we start working normally on a project level. So we start working with our companies on the most recently signed projects normally. So this is for us to get up and running with them quickly so that they can start to see the value of the platform. And IT tends to follow us behind that. That's been our strategy so far, because for us, we are a small team as well. And we know that until we actually get out into creating an ecosystem and channel partners, we won't be able to really hit the ground running on very quick integrations. So for the moment, what we've been doing is bringing in project teams based on their most recently signed projects so that they can start to see the value of the platform from, say, the projects from this year or the projects that were signed late last year, etc. And we get teams using it quickly, and then we're in conversations with IT to transition. And I think that's the key word, it's a transition. And when you move a company, a mid-sized business, onto a platform like this, it's a massive decision, it's a long-term relationship, and we're kind of in it for the long win, if you will, with the company. But it does create challenges when you're going out raising funds, because it's all about apps, it's about users, it's about quick win metrics, and with the platform this complex, it's about long-term relationships. So I think for us as well, it's to get some flagships during 2022, that's enough for investors. The investors can see, okay, there's some flagship names here. And we have some universities in Ireland who are working with us and have been co-creators with us for the last 3 years. So I hope I've answered your question. Maybe I rambled on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Onaf. That was perfect. And now, Elia, the stage is yours. Elia Zelinkis from Biscat.
Okay, thanks a lot. My name is Ilya and I'm CEO and co-founder of BitScout. So we're coming from a my co-founder and I were coming from very large companies where we have been already building solutions to help project teams run their process faster. And we realized that over and over again, we were meeting the same problem, that around 30% of each project's time is wasted on repetitive work. So what is 30%? It's actually approximately 28 days per year per employee is wasted on low-level tasks. And it's actually kind of a systematic problem because the tools that we use for running projects, they're really dumb from human point of view. So the moment information becomes a little bit different, let's say a phone number is moved from that part of the email to another part, the tools struggle. And the intelligent tools that can do that, they're really expensive. How this problem is solved today? You basically hire an intern to do all these things, put the data into tools and etc. Or you do it yourself and really not happy at work. So we decided to solve this problem. So how do we solve it? We make a platform that makes other tools really smart. So what's the catch here? The catch here is that we invented a thing called Smart Plug. We take what's already existing in the cloud, the AI, in a crude format. Then with our software, we cook it correctly so you can get a meal on your table, a business function. In our platform, users, they don't do OCR, they don't do optical recognition. They just compare documents. That's it. In their tool. And it means we are a plugin to other tools. You set up BitScout once, and then it runs in your processes. The product is structured as a set of plugins that you configure without coding, without special training, and they're instantly natively integrated to a project tools like Asana, Monday, Atlassian, Jira, whatever you might think of. And the first use case, because there are multiple plugins that you can build, the first use case that we're getting traction and we are selling right now is extracting data from any source into the tool, removing data manual handling. So the market is, we're actually after that big thing. So what is productivity? You in business school, you know that. It's a revenue per hour worked. And for the last 15 years, productivity is going down. And that's what we are after. And we start with working with the only project management tools. And the waste on manual data entry, approximately for top 6 tools, Monday, Asana, Basecamp, Trello, and Atlassian, is around 2.6 billion. The competition. So the competition goes like that. So this is a customer starting his productivity journey to hire an expert where you get 1000x productivity, but it's also very expensive. And then there is no middle ground here. And this middle ground we want to cover. We want to offer smart, affordable, plug-and-play solution to cover your repetitive tasks. We charge per transactions packaged into monthly fees. Transactions in this case is just one plugin run. Users prefer to start with the first plan because they want to understand what is this beast about. But then they gradually move over there and switch to full pay-per-use model. Our go-to-market strategy. Now, because we are a plugin to other tools, we go via partners and integrators of those tools. So what we did right now in our pre-seed round, and we want to move to seed round, is we created a so-called pipeline, where you have a tool, an integrator, and a use case. And then what we can do to scale that, we add a second use case, but leave the same thing together. But the partners are integral in those things, and we see that from customer feedback. Customer reads about us, likes us, but they go to a partner to check if we are legit. Do they put us into their work or not? We launched into 2021. We are plugging to Monday, approved. They did all the checks. We're in the marketplace. We already have paying customers, some of them in different stages of the pipeline. The customers are coming from US, Australia, Belgium. We closed 3 partners. Last week we had a partner company called Demicon presenting us in a Germany-wide webinar to the largest customers they have. This 22nd of December, the Dutch partner will present us our solution to all their clients. On average, each partner serves around 1,000 clients. we have a sticky product, so we see people upgrade. You start with the small plan, then they always upgrade because once they start saving time, they don't want to go back and do it manually. And what's important is we finished the integration to Asana, and Asana allowed us to do a joint press release in general. It will say, Asana announces technical partnership with BitScout, and it is approved. So we are now in the active phase of fundraising, and we're having back-to-back meetings. We want to raise around 250K. The valuations right now between 2.5-3. My target is to close it as fast as possible because now we already put in a lot of meetings in January, and now is a good time to talk with investors because when I'm talking to investors, I'm not talking to the clients, and I'm really not happy about that. So, and that's it. Thanks a lot. Question over there.
Who is your main competitor and why are you better?
The question is who is our main competitor and why we are better. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Maybe you can. It's like our competitor is actually this guy. He's called Inter. We're better because that's not like you basically have. Basically, the Inter is the competition, or you doing that work. And why we are better? Because first of all, it's not a human management, let's say, and you just install a system and it works 24/7.
And it's cheaper.
And it's cheaper. But I will answer it differently. So we had a client, they are using us to process incoming orders. They're a construction company in Los Angeles. So how do they do that? You receive an email with the document, and you need to open the document, read the document, get some data out of this document and put in the tool so engineer takes it over. So what happened is that the moment you reach 50 emails per day, you need another guy because it's just physically impossible. They install us, they don't need another guy.
But there are not only competition, only the Inter, only.
No, but they are all go in this cycle of productivity. They are just very expensive. So if you replicate the same thing with Rosum, which is a big company and got Series A. So what happens is Rosum, their minimum is 2,000 documents per month. So you basically start from 700 euros per month, which basically is the cost of the. Yes, the
The
question.
incoming data, does it need to be form-based or can it be free-form?
Excuse me?
The incoming data, like emails that you mentioned, do they need to be form-based, based on a
Okay.
form, or can they be free-form, just free text?
So the question is, if we receive any kind of information, should it be structured as a form or unstructured? Both. And it's not here, but it's in the presentation that you will get. Here we extract, this is the example. You give 3 examples of an email you receive and what you want to get from there, and then we extract the rest. Okay, so it doesn't have to be trained, not trained, just a couple of examples and that's enough.
I actually, in my company, we process roughly 400,000 incoming emails per month. And we tested with a German company offering a similar product. And they promised they had that 2 key performance criteria by which they sold their product. The first was the number of, the percentage of incoming transactions of a certain type that they successfully managed to identify. And the second was the error in those.
Okay.
Do you have any metrics like that?
Yes. So first of all, like for the competition guy, I remember you now. So, okay. So what happens when you cross that line and get those guys is that when you have volume. So it doesn't make sense to use BitScout volume because you have those, they are better suited, they have support, like everything that you need, and they can guarantee you stuff. Here is the BitScout is used by your team that is in operations. There's a 5-man team who cannot afford themselves those things. Okay, and it means that how do we solve an inaccuracy question? Like in this construction company, so they receive the orders, and then in order there is a due date. They have to answer before the due date. If they don't, they lose the order immediately. So what happens is that if we did not extract the date, and that's a big issue, so we have mechanisms to alert a human. That's it. Because it's a structured process. You have an error, so tell someone I have an error. Go and they fix it manually because they did that before. It's just now they do it 10% only of the time. Question? No? There. Okay. Sorry.
If you have like handwritten.
Yes.
Can you read that out?
Yes, but not on all languages. Yes, we can analyze. We can extract handwritten notes. Okay. Well, Telefonica is tough boys. You know? I work with them. They're tough boys. That's it. No more question? Paulina?
And that already brings us to the last one before the break. So, Ricard, Adele from Earth Rover.
Hi, I am Ricard, CTO at Earth Rover. At Earth Rover, we are using deep tech to help farming become more sustainable and more productive. We are tackling a big problem, which is controlling weeds without using herbicides. Okay, the world wants to become more sustainable. Herbicides, it's a big problem. The European Union has the objective to reduce herbicides 50%, and we are talking about 30 billion global market, which will be reducing and being substituted with other solutions. Weeds is a nightmare for the farmer when not being able to use herbicides. You need to use several techniques, but the old one was to do it manually. Okay. For instance, a reference customer of us, Polybel, they expend 10% of their sales on this process, on this activity. Now, as I said, doing it by hand, it's the old way. It costs 700 euros per hectare minimum. I have seen worse figures. Now, the state-of-the-art technology, it's mechanical weeding, robotic mechanical weeding mounted on tractors, and this has a cost of 362 euros per hectare, and this including all the production factors. And then there are emerging technologies like robotic, fully autonomous mechanical weeders, not mounted on tractors, but with rovers that work in a completely autonomous way. And then other technologies like lasers. Okay. And the main problem of mechanical weeding, as we will see in that video, is it damages crops. Okay, and it damages soil. The soil loses carbon, which is retained. The soil loses moisture. The crop roots are damaged, and then the farmer loses from a 3 to a 5% of its crop. So it's a reduction of yield, which is very important. Now, I am introducing here our solution, which is a technology that we call light weeder, because we are using concentrated focused light to kill each individual weed. We use artificial intelligence and stereoscopic cameras to detect each individual weed and kill this individual weed with a flash of concentrated light. Okay, it's a very sustainable solution using solar panels, using batteries, very lightweight solution, and it has the characteristic of killing all the weeds if necessary. Okay, while other solutions always leave some weeds non-killed. Here we will see our current state of development. It's a test done in November this year in our lab. see how fast it is. Okay, so this technology can kill each box 20 weeds per second, and that rover you have seen has 6 modules, and therefore can kill 60 weeds per second. And it's a completely modular system, so it could be mounted on a larger machine, and we could have a higher productivity if necessary. Now you see the results here. Let's say one of the good things is that because you don't disturb the soil, you don't promote new weeds, so you can elongate the frequency with which you do this activity. So you see here on the left, the area that will be weeded, and on the right, the area that is the contrary that is not weeded. And you see the result after 22 days. So you see how effective is the technology. And at the same time, it's effective and it's very respectful with the environment, with animals that can be there, and with the crop particularly.
Have you used it every day or only once and then 22 days waited?
Exactly, once and then 22 days later. And then here you see that because we have all this technology on board, all these cameras and computing power, besides weeding, which is the main pain, we also provide very, very detailed data on the crop and on the weed. So you see here in the video how the machine, as it travels, it will capture each individual plant position and the volume of the plant, and we are creating on the go a very detailed map of the crop. So we introduce big data in farming. And the business model is to sell each machine for 80,000 with a 65% margin. Let's say it's not expensive, but actually our technology is very competitive and it allows us to have this very big margin. And we have to take into account that in Europe, farmers, to invest in this kind of technology, they get 40% of grants. So they get 40% off. So it's really a very good deal for them. And apart from this initial sale, we have a yearly fee of 16,000 per machine to cover data services and maintenance services. Okay, the data that we capture, we upload it to the cloud and we offer it as in a data warehouse to the farmer with a subscription model. And the margin on this operation is 80%. Now, comparing the cost that we achieve with the current state-of-the-art technology, the current state-of-the-art is 362. With this pricing and these fees, the cost for the customer with our technology is 230 per hectare. So it's significantly cheaper. But besides solving besides solving the problem, we don't kill 5% of the crop. So we increase the yields. So there is a very clear additional benefit. And besides this, we provide very detailed data that can be converted into money. This has been possible thanks to a multidisciplinary team, which is based in Barcelona. Basically, all the research and development is doing here. And then we also have people in England. You see here the structure of our shareholding, founders, employees, and some initial investors. And then you see here how we want to first focus on Spain and the UK and then move to the rest of Europe and the States. And our ask is for 2 million. Sorry, because I'm running out of time. Thanks a lot. Any questions?
How can you save that no one copy your machine and bring it cheaper on the market?
The question is, how can we avoid that somebody copies?
Just
Well, we have
copy.
on the technology, we have a patent. Okay. So the patent is patent pending. We registered the patent application in November last year. So in 1 year we will have the granting of the patent. And besides this, there is a lot of software and therefore this is not possible to copy.
For which markets the patent?
Sorry?
For which markets? For which countries?
The patent.
The patent worldwide, of course. Let's say we made the initial application, then we are moved to the PCT stage. So we are in the PCT phase, and we have time to decide in which markets we will apply for the national phase. But in principle, we will apply for the national phase in Europe and the United States, maybe Australia. Okay, but there is plenty of time to finish this decision.
what's the reaction of the farmers talking to them about the concept? I mean, the one thing is the numbers, but the other thing is when you approach them and they see this and compare it to the traditional solutions, do they think it works?
They are enthusiastic. Let's say they are really waiting for something like this. They need solutions. They don't mind adopting technology. Of course, this is a very advanced technology. They need to adopt rovers working autonomously in the field. But we are targeting the largest companies. Okay, so we already are in contact with, I would say, 3 main companies in England and in Spain with working on sustainable or organic agriculture. And we have started pilots with them, at the moment non-paid, but then we will start with paid pilots in January. And these are early adopting companies. Let's say the big companies in agriculture, the larger companies are the early adopters of technology because they have people who can understand better these things. And then our strategy is to start with key accounts. And then when these key accounts adopt our solutions, then we will expand to smaller customers. Say. Sorry, I think, yeah.
The autonomous rover might have a problem when it's on the field. I do use at home Husqvarna. I have 4 of them that are used basically to make my garden life easier. And the nightmare is I don't need a gardener. I need someone that is every morning taking care of the Husqvarna machines because it's standing anywhere in the garden. Because there was some kind of change in the ground by an animal or something like that, and these things stop. So why was your decision not to make it as a pool one and make it just bigger? If I think about America, about the fields that they have, they're so big. And so this small thing there, they might laugh about it if they see it. And why is it not 10 meters wide and pulled behind a big truck that they normally use?
Well, because that's not so sustainable, first of all. Okay, so we are looking at having a zero carbon footprint solution. Okay. Zero carbon footprint. So this is part of a strategy in which we need to rely on lightweight electrical vehicles rather than very, very heavy machines. A tractor must be very heavy because a tractor is basically designed to do tilling work. And tilling means dragging the ground. That consumes huge amounts of energy. While we just need a vehicle to go above the ground, not touching the ground, with concentrated light. We are using a very efficient conversion of power into light and then on thermal power. You know, so it's foundational to avoid this kind of very heavy machinery. And besides this is the way to be able to always operate. For instance, one problem they have with this tractor-mounted weeding machinery is they cannot use it when it's raining. When you have a very wet field in England, the tractor compresses the soil, the tractor destroys the crop. Yeah. So you are not allowed to put the tractor in the field. You cannot weed.
But how big is your battery?
Sorry?
How big is your battery?
As much as necessary, but the one we are using, it allows 8 hours autonomy. And it's 10 kilowatt hours, just 10 kilowatt hours.
With the laser operating or just driving?
Sorry?
With the laser in operation or just driving 8 hours?
It's 8 hours all the operation. Let's say it's 8 hours weeding all the time. Let's say. And doing the maneuvers, but we're working on very large fields. For instance, in England, the farm in which we are working, it has 2,000 hectares. So it's a very, very large farm.
How much hectare you can do in the running time of the 8 hours?
With this machine, it can do 3 hectares per day. 3 hectares per day. The thing is that the machine is not very expensive. The farmer necessarily could have several machines working in parallel. They are autonomous. Okay, so it's really a big change.
So how is the autonomous happening? You don't have wires around the field, I think. No. So is it by GPS or how do you?
It's basically a high accuracy GPS combined with computer vision and lidars and other techniques. But basically, in the farm, GPS is already very, it's introduced. It's a technique which is already accepted. Some people, the tractors drive standalone, let's say.
Yeah.
That's quite normal. So it's an environment in which you can use a kind of GPS which delivers 1 centimeter accuracy. So then it's really not very, very difficult. It's not like driving a car in the city, you know. It's very, very, of course, much easier.
Since you only had 2 seconds to have a look at it, could you go back to the second but last slide?
The second?
No, just the
one?
next one.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we already have, let's say, invested 1.6 million in the technology. It's a really deep tech company. As you see, it's not just software; it's also hardware. So, and then we got support from the from the UK government. We got support from the European Union. Unfortunately, it's not here, but we have been in the EIT Food Acceleration Network program. We have a contract with the European Space Agency. Well, actually, we are now in the second contract. And then Polybel is this big organic farm which are actually invested in us. Okay, so Polybel is one of the shareholders. Then now we are looking. We need 2.5 million to bring this product to market. Next year is about validation. Let's say the product is developed, but this in 2022 we need to make have the pilots and do external validation with agronomic institutions, basically, you know, and with the universities. So there is a lot of work. So to 2022 it will be about validation and dissemination, and then in 2023 we expect to be.
What's the evaluation?
The valuation is for 8 million. Okay, so that's for 25% of the capital post money.
The 2 million or the 2.5?
2 million for 25% of the company. I mean, and let's say we are investing this year 2.5 million, but we already secured 500,000 in grants. So we only need 2 million.
Yeah. Where will you do the production of the machines?
Sorry?
Where will you do the production of the robots? We have a plan to do the
It's
production?
not yet decided. It's a very high value product, not a very large volume.
Because
product,
if you
okay?
will sell a lot of them, you need big production.
Let's say it will go step by step. We are not going to go to all the world at the beginning.
When you start only in
We will
Spain,
start just Spain and UK.
what you think a normal for the fields, when you say you have in England one with 300 hectare, how many machines does he need? Because you have the timetable where the plants grow, and you have to go to the plants.
I give you an example. We have a customer who it's a very big lettuce farmer, a big name, and they plant 6 hectares per day. Okay, so we need a productivity of 6 hectares per day.
So 2 rovers.
So we need 2 rovers, and this is a very large farm. Okay.
What is your biggest risk? What holds you up at night? You about this business, and what do you see? Hey,
As a risk?
Yeah, the biggest risk for you.
First of all, I'm the CTO. I'm not the CEO. So sorry because he couldn't come. He's been due to these COVID complications. Well, to be honest, I would prefer maybe if you send me your details to ask my because I would give you my personal opinion more than a strategic opinion.
It's okay. Personal opinion.
So technically he has no nightmares. Technically the thing is working as it looks like.
My personal opinion, because I'm the CTO and I see more the technical side, is I think we have the best solution available. My opinion is that maybe somebody comes with another solution, but so long if there is no new alternative technology, I think that on that side there is no reason.
It's about competition and
There is really we have beaten the competition. To give you an idea, there is a company working on laser reading from America, Carbon Robotics. I don't know if anybody has heard, but if you are not in the sector, it's difficult. But Carbon Robotics are targeting the same market, and our solution is much better than them. But they are older, so they have 2 years in advance to us, and now they are in production. They have raised 27 million for acceleration. Okay, we cannot now raise a Series A because we need to finalize the development. But by the end of next year, we will be raising a Series A. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Jona Schäfer and Charlie.
Thanks, Pauli, and thanks for the great event. Pleasure to be here, and I'll be here to introduce Charlie. So what we do is we turn this into that and rent it out. It sounds very basic, but let me expand on that. Let me explain how we got there. The hotel industry in Europe is revenue around 200 billion per year, and the global industry is above 1 trillion. And the overwhelming majority of hotels are actually not operated by a chain. So let's take the example of Germany. 1 out of 10 hotels is operated by a chain, which means 9 out of 10 are not, which to me already seems crazy. If we cross-reference this with chain penetration in terms of rooms, it makes more sense. 40% of German hotel rooms are operated by chains. So the interesting thing there is, this means that the chain hotel is 4 times as big as the non-chain hotel. If we look at German cities, for example, or also Barcelona, we see, if we look around and we look at the houses around us, we can see that most houses are not bigger than 50, 60 rooms, or in my head it's rooms, but it's 1,000 to 2,000 square meters, which is obviously too small for a chain because a chain wants to go to 100, 150 rooms and over. With the whole sustainability thing coming up sooner than later, especially in construction, we now face a problem, and the chains face problems. They have no building plots. We can't tear down buildings. How do we get into the prime locations? And the idea is to go smaller, but chains really, they're not structured to do this. They've been structured for around 100 years, not to do that, but to go bigger and reap the economies of scale and get extra 2% of operating margin. So this is where we come in. What we do is we create an operator brand. It's called Charlie. You will find hotels or accommodations that are called Charlie. There are accommodations called by Charlie. And what we do is we offer all the advantages that chain hotels do, right? All the scale, all the centralization of services. But what we do is we reimagine the customer journey and we put a tech stack on every accommodation we have. And this way we're able to reduce the personnel we need by 60 to 80% from a traditional hotel. And we're actually able to operate hotels with 50 rooms profitable again. So, this is very short because we only have 5 minutes. We already secured 660 rooms. What this means is we have 50 rooms operational. We had revenue of around 80,000 in November. We had a lifetime value with a first go live in July of around €250,000. We have 110 additional rooms under contract, which we convert right now. We're more or less involved in this. It depends on the project. And we have a capital commitment of a property company, which is owned by our pre-seed investors. And they committed an asset value equal to 100 million to invest in real estate, which, well, we do it on their behalf, but they do all the headaches that come with real estate. So in total, we have secured 660 rooms. In the next 18 months, so we're here right now, it's actually October, but November should be the same. We are looking to scale in the next 18 months from 80,000 in revenue to 800,000. And this will be around 330 rooms live by mid-2023. And we're right now looking at 4 million euros to finance operations until summer 2023. The problem with hotel business is that we need to spend a lot of money on investments that aren't investments, but are actually 0% investments, which is deposits. So we need 30% of this money to actually just cover deposits, which are invested at 0% interest. Good or bad, depends on the time. And 20% we will invest in CapEx and OpEx. So this is substantially lower than any operator can because we cover most of CapEx and OpEx cost through the PropCo of our pre-seed investors. And finally, the majority, 50%, will be invested in growing the team. So right now we're 15 people. We're aiming to grow to around 35 people by the time we do the next funding round. And we're going to build this brand and tech infrastructure I was just talking about. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
how do I have to get that very simple? You go to a hotel, say, hello, here, I'm Charlie and I love you, and your hotel could be brought in a better shape and you generate more income when you give me the chance to take your hotel for whatever, 4 weeks, or how long do you take for the renovation? What are they doing during this time? Do you do that during the hotel is open? Does it have to close?
Currently, we're much more integrated in that sense. We're integrated as an operator. We do rental contracts. And what we do with the PropCo of our investors, we buy hotels. So this year we bought 5 hotels in Bonn, Cologne, Berlin, Bonn again, and Lübeck. And we refurbish them in the sense that we do the design, we do the construction specifications with our interior designers, and then they build it for us. And this is what Bonn, for example, will look like. This is our corporate design. And then we operate them. So this is the very integrated model we have. Then we have a slightly less integrated model, like the property we did in Berlin, which we bought, sold again, put us as a lessee in there, and had around 350,000 in budget to renovate. And we did this in 58 days. So we converted the hotel in 58 days. We renovated, we put in 15 kitchens, and we sold the first room 58 days after we received the keys.
So let's make a simple example. We're looking at a hotel to buy in Mallorca tomorrow, and it has 55 rooms, so we would be your client. We buy the hotel, and what are you doing then? You're basically making you're basically making the plans that it gets renovated, and I have to pay for it later, or how does it work?
You as an investor, quite simply, we offer you a normal rental agreement. We say these are the specifications we need. This is the hardware we need. This is the software which we bring, and then we have a rental agreement. So you would be my lessee and you would operate the hotel. Exactly.
So I get whatever 6, 7, 8% rent on the investment that I have made, on total investment, or what is the percentage that you?
It depends. The PropCo right now has a yield on asset value of 5 point and a bit.
Okay. That's the reason why you need the deposits, because basically the landlords want to know that you are able to pay the rent.
The PropCo is leveraged to a normal extent in Germany, and we need the deposits to actually be able to get the rental contracts without the bank throwing us out.
And who's paying the renovation? The
landlords? Yeah, the investors. Yeah.
You also said that 50% of the investment going to the growing team, yeah? And I calculated that it would be 5,500 euros per person. Is it not too much for a startup for paying for the employer?
5,500 per person per month. So the question was, half of the 4 million is invested in team, and then you calculate it down to the employee. And it's 5,000.
Too much to startups.
5,500 for an employee for a startup. That is too much. In this, there's significant work in the tech stack, so we're not building everything ourselves. Doing some co-developments, and there's significant work with the branding. It's a lot of it's a lot of actual work. So designs like this, they don't go for 5K. It's a lot more.
What do you do different than other hotel operators then?
Well, let me expand on this for a little bit, because it's an important part of the customer journey that we digitize. So what we do is, and I have a good story for this, because I was in Hamburg a couple of weeks back and I was at Ruby. And I don't know how many people know Ruby. It's a decent chain, and they say they digitize the customer journey. So I went to Ruby, I had to walk through the rain for 20 minutes. I arrived there, and I booked it before. So I walked in, and then they said, look, you have to check in. We're a digital hotel, so you check in yourself. So then there was a tablet on the thing, and I typed my name in it, and I filled everything out on the tablet, which takes, I think, twice the time that somebody would take if I just told them who I am. And then they print your room card, and then you get it. And this is the automation of the hotel. This is how they reduce personnel. So what we do is, we took the whole customer journey, and we said, look, we want all of this actually to be done by the customer, but to be done by the customer when he or she wants to do it. So what we did is we created a customer journey where you check in when you want, and you don't check in on the day of arrival. So what you can do is you can book today for May 2022, and then you get a WhatsApp or SMS or email, whatever you chose, you can choose it. And then it says, look, you need to check in, okay? 2 minutes, check in whenever you want, we're ready for you. You check in, and then it says, well, perfect, you get the key on the day of arrival. On the day of arrival, we send you WhatsApp, look, here's your key, and your key's on your smartphone. So you don't actually have any physical interaction on site anymore if you don't want to. there will be somebody you can talk to, but you don't have to talk to them anymore. So actually, there's a very interesting metric that we just finished yesterday, and the metric is that in Berlin, in the last 2 months, over 60% of our guests did not interact with us outside of automated messaging flows. So almost 2/3 of the guests went in and out without us doing anything.
So in the end, we invest in a kind of software and design.
In the end, it's a brand plus tech stack, yes.
How do you manage any COVID restrictions?
In general, just like how you manage it. Well, in
When you
Berlin,
have lockdown or when you're not allowed at least to, you have to prove at least if your guests at least are 2 times vaccinated, 3 times vaccinated or whatever they are.
it's the same way I got to Spain today.
Day-to-day testing, let's say like this.
Yeah, I mean the thing is how I got to Spain is I had to upload this the certificate, and then I got a QR code. In the same way that because you have to check in and you have the Meldepflicht in Germany, so you have to be registered anyways. The additional step in the check-in, and it's very easy to manage for us because it's digital, is upload your certificate. We validate it. We have to validate it once, and then you're good to go. And you don't get your keys if you're not validated. So if the restrictions get harder, and it's 2G plus, for example, you have to validate, and you have to give us a test certificate. Otherwise, you don't get your key.
Well, financially, then of course the question that Art just has taken has also another, let's say, angle, because one thing is how you manage the process. The other thing is what happens if the hotel has to close for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, because as far as I understand it, you are obligated to pay the rent to me if I'm the investor.
There's ongoing discussions about that, but it looks like the investor wins in the end. In general, what we do as a product is, and I can show it here very clearly, this is a hotel room in Bonn. This is a product prototype, and this is the difference for that. It's a kitchen, it's fully equipped, and we buy a hotel. But what we do is we actually market the hotel as a hotel, and we market the hotel as a service apartment. And we can easily manage the services. What do you want as a service? Is it additional booked service? Is it the normal service level? And what we can do, for example, if Corona comes, and we're experiencing this right now in Berlin, we're at 88% of 2019 numbers of the old operator. We should be at 110 if there wasn't Corona. But what we do in Berlin, for example, there's a headquarter of N26, 5 minutes walking distance. And we have 4 people renting for 30 days and more. And this is then actually, we can do a sort of residential accommodation, and we reduce the service to be in line with COVID restrictions. And then we can actually occupy when they say hotel operations are like have to be closed. We can say, look, okay, we do only residential, only 30 days plus, and that's it.
So you assume all the risk that a hotel operator has, but you don't have the stones, the bricks. So this is nothing that you care about, but you have the personnel and all the rest that any normal operator also has.
We have reduced personnel because we don't have this process anymore where I go into a hotel and there's someone standing there.
You can do 4-star or 3-star, or what you can do?
I think in general you can do whatever you want. This is sort of upscaling luxury, so there is personnel. So because this was a big concern of people we talked to, and they were like, but is there no one? Is it a ghost hotel? You just walk in, there's no one there. There will be someone.
No bar?
There is a bar. You will get a gin tonic. But you can choose to engage, and this was the big thing which we wanted to solve is we need to have more optionality in the customer journey of hospitality. We need to be able to choose when we want to do what. Like if I think about my banking, it's crazy what happened in the last 10 years. Like N26 now, could not have imagined that 10 years ago. And in hospitality, the last 80 years was pretty much the same. You walk in, you stand there, you wait 10 minutes, you sign something, maybe you stand in line if you're lucky, and that's it. And this is what we changed.
What's your valuation? Because you just talked about.
Yep, we're raising 4 million at 20 million post money. And we're halfway, so we have a lot of strategic investors right now. We have our pre-seed investors that are strategic investors that set up the PropCo, and a few weeks ago, we also got Values Real Estate, a fund manager and real estate developer from Hamburg. They have around 1.5 billion under management. And well, it obviously opens some doors if you can access a portfolio like that. So,
What's the minimum ticket size?
we do 50K, we do 100K would be better.
Typical tenure of your lease contracts, of your rental contracts.
Yeah, so the question was typical duration of rental contracts. The normal one is 15 plus 2 times 5, so this means we have 15 years fixed. And then we have the option on our side to prolong 2 times 5 years. So 1 times 5 and another 1 times 5. So if it goes well, 25 years. If it goes bad, 15 years.
That's a long time. And how do you pack it up for the investor? How much, if you basically look about a yearly rent, and how much half yearly rent, 2 yearly rents, what basically half yearly rent? So if you go bust, basically you have with the investor has half a year time to find a new operator.
Yes, exactly. The one thing on the investor side which is interesting in our product, if I just jump here, because it's also a very contemporary discussion in real estate, is what is student living, what is commercial living, what is boarding house, how can we circumvent the commercial nature of spaces. In general, what we built here from a ground plan perspective is micro living. We just operate it under this license. In the locations we go to, which are always prime city locations with restaurants on the ground floor, cities will always tell us, we would also appreciate if you would do residential. And the plan B will always be, hey, okay, this is perfect. It's residential, it's ready to move in. I rent this out to students for, furnished for 800, 900, 1,000 euros in Bonn, and I'm good off. And I even get more because then I have a little bit more operational risk, but it's good. You have a fallback.
Do you also rent from third parties or only from your investors?
So the question was if we rent from third parties. We do. We are finishing up the proof of concept for that as we speak. So looking to close the first rental contract by the end of this year. And then we have 2 more in exclusivity, which, well, we just have to go through the weeds and it's going to take 2-3 months. But then we also have that, and we also do management contracts. So we're working on 2 management contracts right now, which for an operator are the best case scenario because we assume 0% risk basically in a management contract and get a fixed 10 to 15% return. Good, perfect, thanks so much.
That brings us to the next one, which is Pharos with Adash Kulkani. Welcome back in, Ada.
Thank you, it's a pleasure. Let me just try this. Perfect. Okay. Hi everyone. Good evening. My name is Adarsh and I'm an alumni member of Yada Business School, Barcelona. Upon completion of my master's, I had the ability to join one of the fastest growing startups in logistics in Catalonia. After being an intern for 1 year, I was appointed as the CFO of the startup. Our story is quite incredible. With over 50 years of combined experience, Nathan and Iberia was able to achieve 18 million euros of revenue in the first 3 years of operation. The industry Nathan and Iberia functions in is called the freight forwarding industry. Freight forwarders act as intermediaries in the field of logistics, which basically means they help in connecting load providers. Load providers could be a manufacturing company with truck providers. It is key to note how fragmented the industry is. The industry has over 600,000 companies in the field of logistics in Europe alone. We believed that there were 4 major problems in the industry as freight forwarders. Over 65% of the data collected was not being used. Over 30% of the tasks which could easily be automated are not. Over 40% of the invoicing takes over 90 days to be collected. And the maturity of the market does not allow companies who are small and medium-sized to scale up successfully. We also believe that the solution to such problems is available within a transport management system, also known as the TMS. The TMS market is currently valued at 730 million euros and is expected to grow at 11.5% for the coming 5 years. We believe that the way to capture this industry is by digitalization and by being early movers in green operations. We believe that our movement can help in consolidating a very fragmented industry. The market currently has over 135 solutions available, which are very different from one another. However, it is key to note that the solutions available do not cater to the requirements of a freight forwarder. And hence, Here lies another golden opportunity by focusing on the middleman who can generate a lot of value. Faros TMS is our solution to all the problems. The TMS is a comprehensive solution which helps the freight forwarder scale up as an intermediary by linking them successfully with other members of the supply chain. We do so by providing them three major tools: load boards, financial accuracy, and data integrity. Load boards. Load boards are tools used by operational intermediaries to match loads with trucks. However, it's hard to understand how impactful a good load board can be, and hence I present to you the example of Nathan Echeverria. In February 2021, Nathan Echeverria developed an alpha version of a load board with the help of one software developer and two logistic intermediaries. The implementation of it was seen, the result of the implementation of this was seen in March 2021. After the first full month of implementation, the company saw increases in revenue of over 85% and also an increase in productivity of over 40% per employee. Imagine how powerful would a tool which could do this with the ability of connecting a freight forwarder with multiple load boards help freight forwarders scale up within a very competitive industry. We also think it's also important to think that in an industry which is tainted by so many problems in payments with over 90 days to receive 40% of your invoicing, it is key to have a robust system of cash flow management. And this is why we in Faros are developing a system to cater to the needs of a freight forwarder by helping in tracking a very financially accurate, optimized cash flow management system. By providing a robust system, we also ensure that companies can scale up successfully and also by ensuring that they know what lies ahead of them. Going back to my case study of Nathan Echeverria, after the growth of 85% was seen in revenues, the company saw how difficult it is to collect payments without a robust system. And this is why we are developing it with not only with experience, but also with some professionals in the industry who agree with us that this is a huge problem. Hence, we also provide a complete risk analysis by providing a balanced scorecard of each and every company in our system. We also believe in ensuring integrity of data and hence complying with in the eyes of law. Sorry. We believe that we are much more than a TMS. Our pitch for sustainability primarily lies in the form of intermodal solutions. Intermodality is a system wherein truck operators can drop off the goods at railway stations. Railway stations can take them off to the closest point of destination and then switch them back onto the road. This helps in contributing to multiple problems. For instance, the driver shortage in Europe has caused the industry to find many alternatives to this, and such alternatives can prove very, very handy by ensuring that the drivers could be optimally used, and also this could significantly decrease the CO2 footprint of multiple companies. We also believe in providing GLEC accredited CO2 emission trackers, which allows companies to be fast movers in the field of compliance in a TMS. Our value proposition is to connect every link in the supply chain, to guide and lead companies into the future, and to forecast and spot market shifts before they happen. Our mission is to guide and empower freight forwarders to operate and grow efficiently. Our MVP is in the stage of deployment in January 2022. With all the experience we had with the alpha version of the load board and the following months, we have a team ready developing the technology as we speak. We're looking for 200,000 euros of investment for 15% of equity, and our pre-seed round is closing in the first quarter of 2022. We currently have 5 companies looking forward to adopt our solutions in the month of January, and we're also open to the idea of convertibles. Thank you so much, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions.
When I understand it right, you want to go to companies and say, we will organize your transport, we have the trucks. How will you get these trucks? We have the problem in Europe now that we can't grow because we don't have the transport systems because we have no drivers. the problem is not we can buy trucks, but we don't have the drivers, and we have a situation in the last year that we find solutions to optimize the transport, but the problem is we have no trucks.
I agree with you. I agree with you. That problem caters a lot to the field of logistics than to only a freight forwarding company. And to explain that better, I'm going to go back up a few slides. To speak about intermodality.
Yes, but why I will go to you? Do you have the equipment, or you do have companies contracts?
Oh, yes.
Or you only have the platform?
Pharos is a TMS. Pharos is a platform.
A platform, yes, but then there have to come trucks in the platform.
Yes.
Because when I say, okay, tomorrow I have 100 transports of champagne from Barcelona to Zurich, how can you manage this?
Well, for that we have our other company, Nathan Iberia, which was able to scale up.
We can't do this.
We scaled up from 1 million to about 5 million revenues in 1 year. And we believe that a system like this can help manage and optimize timings to help people connect truck drivers. If not, truck drivers end up driving a lot of empty lanes, which is not optimal, and we believe in optimizing all resources in a market which is so scarce in terms of labor for trucks. And as much as I agree with you that truck drivers is a huge problem, as we speak, there are advanced systems being developed. And for instance, if we are able to optimize truck driving times, by that I mean if a truck driver has to only drop off goods at the nearest railway station, even if there is a turnover, you can ensure that you get truck drivers on a shorter contractual basis.
And then you say, okay, you want to say that the normal payment is 90 days.
Yes.
And how will you manage that? The thing today is to get trucks, I have to pay fast. Because then the drivers and the trucks comes to me and on to other, I pay less, but I pay fast. I get the invoice, the next day they have the money. But when you want to do that, the big companies like Aldi, they pay you after 90 days. When you want to pay the driver faster, how will you make the value? How will you make the financial about this?
Okay. So your question is more in line with how companies should be dealing with the cash flow system. First thing is having traceability, because having traceability is something systems don't currently offer. And on the other hand, when it comes to operations, it is very important for companies to have a mix of customers in their system. Because if you go to Aldi and Aldi pays you in 90 days, you're going to have a problem in paying out. But if you have Aldi paying you in 90 days, but on the other hand, you have someone else paying you in less than 30 days, you end up balancing the cash flow. And this is how the operational mix should be. For instance, if you go to multiple logistical freight forwarding companies, they might have the option to provide you with quick pay for certain loads if you're willing to take a discount on your margins at the end. And this is how this is how the dashboard for finances is going to be designed in a way that you don't have to be a professional in finance to understand if or not you should take up the discount.
Then I understand, then in the future, I don't pay the truck, I pay you, and you pay them. So the money runs over you. Is it insured? Do I have any guarantee that they get the money? And did I have any guarantee if you have a truck and he brings my products to the client gets the products?
I would like to re-explain that part. As a TMS, the transport management system helps in tracking the payments. The transport management system does not pay the carriers. The payment of the carrier is done by the user of the TMS, and the tool which is being used is to guide a freight forwarder or a logistical intermediary in the future to ensure that the payments happen on time. The payments will be held by the party, conducted by the party, and this is how we believe in empowering logistical operators to grow.
The revenues that you showed in your presentation, are they revenues from freight forwarding or from actual transport services? Or where do they come from?
These are revenues from freight forwarding services, but these are not commissions. These are actual revenues, as in freight forwarders buy the entire load and sell it like it's theirs without it being a commission-based model. I hope that answers your question.
And the freight forwarding business altogether, isn't that jeopardized by platforms which actually broker the services without, the person being involved?
I would like to answer your question regarding that. There are many platforms.
Yeah, maybe you can reiterate or say the question again so that everyone can hear it.
Sorry.
No, it's it's fine.
The question was about how the freight forwarding industry was not going to be able to grow because of the availability of multiple platforms which does the job on their behalf. And to answer your question, we currently work with multiple platforms. And many of these platforms reach out to us asking us for help because they cannot sell any of this. And I know that they have done a good job in marketing and providing their resources, but when they come back to us, we know the reality. And we're not allowed to share the names of these companies, and I'm not going to be able to do that, but this is how the industry functions, unfortunately.
And what you're building on for the future is revenues not from freight forwarding, but from selling your software to other freight forwarders. So what's
exactly? Pharos TMS is a fully commercializable transport management system, which will be based on subscriptions only. This is not related to Nathan Iberia in terms of operations. However, Pharos TMS benefits from the whole ideation that Nathan Iberia is testing a fully operatable product for a freight forwarder before it goes to the stage of commercialization, and hence gaining revenues in the form of subscriptions in the future. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Adarsh. Are we prepared for more questions? It's good. Next is Ikito with Robin Deco.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for being here. I came today to discuss with you about real estate. Before I can answer all your questions, I would like to play a little Q&A with our investors. If you can please raise your hand if you have invested already in real estate and it took you 2 months from idea to purchase to complete the transaction. Was it above, more or less than 2 months? Some hands? 2 months more? And yeah. And can we say that, can you please raise your hand also if it was above 150,000 euros, the transaction? Yeah? This is what we have observed. And you guys are not alone. Real estate takes time. On average, from idea to purchase, it takes more than 4 months to complete the transaction. But also, real estate is expensive. The price of a house in Spain is above 230K on average. What if I told you that you can invest now, within a minute, and from 100 euro? This is our promise at Equito, that you can invest instantly. What I mean by instantly, you will be able, once you have selected an asset, to purchase it within seconds, but also from anywhere, wherever you are or wherever the real estate asset is, you will be able to purchase it. But more important, anyone will be able to do that. Why? Because the starting price is at 100 euros. You can invest at your own rhythm. Let me show you really quick in this video how it works. You can download our application, surf on the marketplace, explore some property, choose and select the asset you want. You will then select the quantity, the amount you want to invest, and complete the purchase. 20 seconds. This is what it takes today to invest in real estate. We dreamed about a world where we can invest in real estate like the stock market. To do so, we do the following. We're gonna find profitable real estate. We will then put this real estate inside the company. Like most of the company, they are divided into shares. And then we tokenize the company. I will not really dig deep into the technical part, but we have to remember that this token, the equity token, actually represents a share of a property, and so the economic right associated to it. Then your comes part. Once you have downloaded the app, you will surf on the marketplace, purchase some equity token, and then that's it. You will receive directly and automatically your monthly rent on the app. And also, after the holding period, once we will sell the asset, you will be able to enjoy the capital gain. We do work on a transparent fee model. To source the real estate, do the due diligence in terms of legal and administrative, and issue the token on our marketplace, we will take a 10% of the total invested amount. To then distribute the monthly rent to all the pool of our investors, we will take 2% on the annual gross rent. And then once we will sell the property to be able to distribute the added value to all our investors, we will share the added value among the platform and our pool of investors. We are in a growth market. The way we invest is evolving. Neo-brokers in Spain only, in 2021, have been able to manage more than 7.8 billion euro in asset management. If we take a deep look only at real estate crowdfunding, it goes to 500 million. Our target at Equito is to reach 100 million in the next 3 years. Our proof of concept have been validated. We have seen different competitors. We can divide them into two groups: the crypto-friendly one and the non-crypto one. I'm thinking about Realty, for example, our US competitor that have raised in the last 2 years more than 20 million. Or Bridgewaco, that in the last 12 months have raised more than 9 million in France. We are the bridge between the two worlds. Whether you know about crypto, you will be able to buy and invest in real estate. We are raising 2.5 million to support our next 18 months growth. Most of it will go to sustain our aggressive acquisition strategy. About 30% of it will go to sustain our operational expense, to keep developing and maintaining our platform, be always compliant with the regulatory, and we will save 8% as a real estate provision to always be sure that we can complete transaction with our investors. I'm Robin Decaux, I'm the co-founder of Equito, and I will be pleased to talk with you after. Thank you very much. If you allow me, I would like to introduce my co-founder, Naji, that will hold the Q&A with me. Do you guys have any questions?
How do you source the properties to get on your marketplace? I didn't get that part.
Sorry?
How do you get the properties on your marketplace? I didn't get that part. In first place, how do we
do that? So we're gonna source ourselves property. So we're gonna look in the real estate market in Barcelona, for example, for properties that are undervalued and that would be able to offer a good yield for our investors. We will then list this property on our platform. We have 45 days to complete the fundraising. If we have a successful fundraising, we will then purchase the property.
And it's a token. It's a token afterwards. Can I resell it on the marketplace at any point in time? Is it a?
Yeah, it's a token, so you will be able to sell it on the secondary marketplace
if you have a buyer.
Yeah,
if you have a buyer.
In theory, I can.
I would have a quite critical question because I'm a large real estate investor myself. And if I look into real estate and look the yields that you have, if you buy good real estate, you get at the moment, if you're very happy with the 5% gross yield.
Where?
Anywhere in Europe. Anywhere in Europe. If you talk about bigger sizes, anywhere in Europe. Show me anything else and you can make a nice brokerage fee much more than that you're asking for. So the question is, if I take 2% of that away, it's 40% of my gross yield. And with the gross yield, I unfortunately have to keep the real estate in place. I have to take all the other risks that are unfortunately coming with real estate. we have some people to have to deal with our clients or whatever you call them, means with people who are in your real estate and basically renting it, so with your lessees. You have to have an organization who's doing it, you have to account and all the other things. These have to be paid from 5%. If you go higher risk, of course, you can go maybe to 6 and 7%. If you go in the low risk area, you go into Barcelona or anywhere else where just basically looking around for real estate, you find the offers of 3 and 4%. So you can't pay a 2% margin to someone. It's 50% of your gross.
I didn't understand this 2% margin question.
Well, you said you want to have
the
50%. If I got it correct, if you go back to your slide,
50% will be on the added value once we sell the property.
No, that is 50%.
Okay.
But this is 50% on, you buy it today for $1 million, we sell it in 10 years for $2 million, and you get 50% of the million.
Exactly.
That's not bothering me. But 2% ongoing fee, that's what you're saying. At least if I
No,
understand
2% of the yearly rent.
Yeah, 2% of the yearly rent.
Of the yearly rent.
Okay,
correct.
But this is of course then different. 2% of the
of the annual
rent. The annual rent,
yeah.
not okay. No, of the annual rent.
Can you see the slide again?
Für 1 Million kaufst und hast 100.000 oder 50.000
So yeah,
dann nimmt eben 1.000 Euro dafür.
Our main source of revenue will be from the listing fee. So when we do actually sell tokens.
Do you leverage when you purchase real estate? Do you leverage?
We don't allow leverage for now, but it's in our mind.
But your aim is not to sell on the big investor who is able to buy the whole house, but your aim is to find many small investors.
We do observe the market to do single one-on-one sales like this using STO as we do. But right now, the legal framework is not ready. So right now, what we can offer is the actual economic right of the property, but not the usage of the property itself.
Did you do a reservation for 45 days? And in Spain, it's customary to do a 10% down payment for the reservation?
Under the complete of the fundraising.
Yes, and if the fundraising is unsuccessful, then the 10% are gone, right?
No, we aim to get them back because of the clause that if we complete the 45 days of fundraising, then we will buy the asset. If not, our arras here in Spain is returned.
And the sellers accept that because that seems, for me, it seems very unusual in Spain.
So far with the property owner that we have talked, it was no problem because we offer them the ability to sell the property in 45 days while they could wait longer on the market to find one single buyer.
What is the leverage rate that you take on it, or don't you take leverage at all?
For now, we haven't put the leverage option, no.
Okay.
You said you can make small investment and 100 euros, 1,000 euro. When you now see you have an investment 200,000 euro and you have a lot of small investors, you stop when you arrive the amount where you accept if you have 200,000 payments. What are you doing then? How manage it?
Yeah, we will stop until we have completed the total investment amount to purchase the property.
Where do the tokens trade after that?
On our secondary marketplace.
So you have a primary marketplace and a secondary marketplace. Okay. Those are separate. You can.
Yeah.
And is it basically do you have to pay any kind of real estate transfer tax for that? Because what you're doing is you're selling small shares, at least virtually small shares in a real estate.
Yeah, we do have to pay all the taxes to actually purchase the real estate.
But for the token buyer,
no.
Basically, we sell an economic right to the company holding the real estate asset. So there is no transfer of property here. There is only someone buying an economic share of the company.
That's what I understood. But the thing is, the legislation, at least for transfer tax in most of the European countries, is that if you have a company that is buying a real estate and you change a percentage of the shares in that company, of the ownership situation in the company. Germany, for example, it's 90% currently. If you change that, you have a second time of real estate tax. So if you buy it into a vehicle, and the vehicle then is owned at day one with you,
and in 30 days it's owned with 500 people, and you as a company only own 1% or even nothing.
No,
It's the second time of real estate, not the building. The building is still owned by the same special purpose vehicle, but you sell, but the owners of this special purpose vehicle have changed. And if
I don't think that the ownership is changing, at least there's a kind of an unsecured
we are still the complete owner of the
building,
property. Yeah.
but not of the special purpose vehicle, because every building will be bought into one company, I think.
It's just an
So at the end, so at the end, what you're doing is a bond.
But it's similar to a bond, yeah.
It's an unsecured bond investment.
But if I invest, which guarantee do I have that that it exists? It's not only in the app.
But everything is right down on paper. You will.
Yeah, everything is right on paper. That's nice. And print paper. We had the situation in Mallorca. We had someone like you, and he was going around, and he said, "Okay, 10% for you, 10% for you." In the end, he sold 300%, and then he was gone.
I know, but this is also the main difference of maybe some of those players, is that all our transaction will be secured on the blockchain, and you will be able to access to it. The transaction of yourself, but also of all the other investors. It will be anonymous for sure, but you will be able to track the spending associated to the property and the company.
And we are also regulated and validated. Each real estate project is validated here by an EAF company. So it's a company under the CNMV regulation. So
You got that all.
We hope to do better for you. Yes, please.
I don't really understand. How are you different from cryptocurrency? You said you're in the middle between non-crypto and crypto. How exactly are you different? I mean, are you gonna make an blockchain? Is it gonna be like, or yeah, I don't get the difference.
Yeah,
maybe you can explain that.
Of course. Actually, we are evolving in the crypto world, but not everyone is familiar with it, and not everyone knows how to use it. But there is mainly 3 different types of tokens or crypto. The one like Bitcoin that are mostly payment token and that have no intrinsic value, only the one that we give to them. We have security token like ours, where you will have an asset associated to the token. And then you have utility token, like the company Brave, that reward you once you will watch advertising, for example. And those are the 3 different types of token with 3 different usage.
Okay. And are you also offering the tokens for sale online as ICOs and like other cryptocurrencies do, or only like this for
ICOs is for those tokens. STOs, what we do, it's for security token.
Okay.
But we basically do STOs.
There are so many questions. We do have to stay on schedule, but you guys can, after the next one, talk more in the networks and drinks. Thank you both so much. And last but not least, Terry, please take the stage and tell them about Selva.
Thank you. Last of the evening, so stick with me. Hi, I am Harry, co-founder of Selva. So, Christmas is just around the corner. And for most of us, that means traveling to see friends and family. It means turkey. It means presents. It means cranking up the heating to full because it's freezing outside. But these activities, like many of our day-to-day activities, come at a price. They all have carbon emissions associated with them. But just because we do all of these things, it doesn't mean that we don't care. In fact, there's a huge groundswell at an individual level of people who want to do more to reduce their personal impact on the environment. They really care, they just don't know what to do. Meanwhile, we have this amazing technology that's been proven by scientists to be extremely effective at reducing CO2. It's deployable today, it's deployable at scale, and it's extremely cheap. It's of course called a tree. Mother Nature has spent millions of years developing this technology into a perfect CO2 sucking machine. So this is where Selva comes in. We connect the people that care with climate solutions that really work, the world's best reforestation organizations. By eliminating the barriers of cost, inconvenience, trust, and knowledge, which is stopping those 87% of people who want to do more from doing more, we empower people to take action. Now, there are many reasons we think trees are amazing, but one of them is the cost. The average European citizen can offset their entire carbon footprint for as little as €6 a month. Excuse the pun, it's dirt cheap. So, Selva is a B2C platform that enables any individual to offset their entire personal carbon footprint through a monthly subscription to reforestation, to tree planting. We calculate the user's carbon footprint with our proprietary calculator by asking a few questions about your lifestyle, where you live, driving habits, eating habits, etc. And we give you your results. You can put those personal results of yours into context, compare it with other people, see where those emissions come from, and also understand how to reduce your footprint. You then choose from one of our 3 carefully selected reforestation partners where you want to plant your trees. The higher your footprints, the more trees you need to plant and the more expensive it is. You can then track your trees over time, how many trees you planted, how much CO2 they've offset, and importantly, share it with friends. This is our current MVP. The product roadmap involves all sorts of tree tracking techniques like GPS, drone footage, satellite imagery, etc., etc. And most importantly, there's a big educational component of our platform. There's a lot of noise in the climate space, and we want to help people cut through that with very down-to-earth, relatable educational resources. Not just about climate issues on a broader scale, but also on a more personal level about how you as an individual can reduce your footprint. Importantly, without upending your life. You know, we still want to eat our turkey. We still want to travel and see our friends and family. We're not going to preach to anybody about what they shouldn't do. So we're super young. We've been up and running for about 3 months now. There's 3 of us in the team, myself, we have a CTO and a CMO. We have about 85 paying subscribers, including a couple of business customers. And for them, we're offsetting the carbon footprint of their workforce. So they have a sort of carbon neutral workforce. We're beginning to generate a real buzz online. We've been featured in some press. And importantly, our early users really love us. This is Alexa. I promise she's not my mum, wife, or sister or anything. I've never met her in my life. So what sets us apart from the competition? The competition isn't just other for-profit offsetting platforms. The competition is also changing behaviors. Some people think, oh, okay, I drive a Tesla, like I'm doing my bit, or it's NGOs and charity. So we focus exclusively on reforestation combined with personalized subscription plans. Now, the reason reforestation is important is because it's an extremely affordable way of offsetting CO2. It's also very understandable for users. You give me money, I plant a tree, you can visualize that, it makes sense. And the reason personalization and individual plans is important is around engagement. Compared to other platforms which just offset an average number. Okay, everyone paid €5 a month. As I mentioned earlier, we have a product roadmap to get people much closer to their impact. Satellite tracking of trees, GPS, all these sorts of things. And our brand is going to be very community focused. A lot of environmental organizations at the moment are frankly a bit stale. They work on a message of guilt. They work on a message of preaching. We want to flip that on the head. We want to be down to earth. We want to be optimistic. We want to be relatable, humorous, a bit rebellious too. We want to do for carbon offsetting what Brewdog has done for beer and what Visco has done for plant-based meat in the UK. So just quickly, the finances, we take 15% of every subscription. The remaining 85% goes to our reforestation partners to plant the trees. We have various B2B initiatives in the pipeline which will supplement these margins further. So this is our first fundraise. We're looking for 200,000 from angel and pre-seed investors to cover us for the next 12 months, where we hope to reach 5,000 B2C subscribers. Majority of this money will go on marketing and developing the product roadmap that I've just told you about. So we're at the cusp of an emerging mega trend, and it's not just a trend of sustainability, but it's also a trend about conscious consumerism and a reprioritization of how people spend their time and then money. And we really believe that services like Salva that give people emotional and altruistic rewards are going to come to the foreground at the expense of more material ones. So we all have a role to play. We've all been part of the problem, but with Salva, we can all be part of the solution. Thank you.
Where are the forests?
So mainly in sub-Saharan Africa. One question we've got a lot from our users is, oh, I'd like to plant closer to home. And we could do that, but there are a few issues with that. The main one is the cost. It's obviously a lot more expensive to plant a tree in Germany than it is in Madagascar, is actually where we plant most of our trees. But also trees in equatorial regions grow a lot faster and therefore absorb a lot more CO2. So yeah, we want to get as many trees in the ground per dollar. So for that reason, we're focusing at the moment on sub-Saharan Africa.
And how do you certify your plant partners? Because there are so many fraud out there.
Yeah, of course. We spent a lot of time picking the 3 partners that we did, and they've won all sorts of awards for their charitable work and their excellence and transparency. Between them, they've planted hundreds of millions of trees over decades. Importantly, they're also used by some big companies like Verizon, Timberland, and Ecosia, who themselves go in and verify all of the work. Of course, a problem levied against reforestation as a climate solution is that there are issues around permanence and will the trees be there. So we make sure we pick partners who really believe in the long-term goal, and they have all sorts of initiatives, particularly around incentivizing the local communities who plant the trees and actually end up owning them to ensure that sustainable reforestation best practices are adhered to.
For the marketing budget you were talking about, you focus on B2C, also on B2B, or not?
B2C initially. We want to build a consumer brand because we feel there isn't that household B2C brand around sustainability and reforestation. And we want to bring reforestation to the forefront of public discussion around climate change solutions. We want to integrate tree planting into all aspects of everyday life. From every time you buy a coffee, we plant a tree. On your social media profile, instead of counting your likes, you're counting the number of trees you planted, this sort of thing. So, and with the B2B, the end customer is the individual anyway. We're offsetting the carbon footprint of the employees. So we think it's going to be the employees that are going to drive adoption of Salva within their company.
From little I know about this, in B2B, the projects, at least in Germany, now need to be certified, and reforestation is not, it's not possible to certify just because of the issue that you mentioned, the permanency.
Yeah. I mean, there's no perfect climate solution, and we focus exclusively on trees for several reasons. They also have the benefit of supporting biodiversity, filtering local air, etc., etc., etc. And so this one, forest restoration, has the second greatest CO2 reduction potential of all climate solutions, and this is by big NGO called Project Drawdown. So yes, there are the pitfalls of reforestation, but there are lots of pitfalls of wind power. As we've seen in Germany, there's been all sorts of problems. And as we're seeing at the moment in Europe, electricity prices are through the roof because of a really unpragmatic approach to the energy transition, which is why we like trees. Trees are simple, they're understandable, and they've got all these other benefits too.
We have a plan what you will do a long time with the trees. Because if I make an invest, I have something in Canada, we plant the trees, and then in 30 years, we have to decide what to do. Plant new trees, take them down, give them to the paper industry or something.
Yes, these aren't timber organizations. They are reforestation organizations. So they're planting in areas that used to be natural forests. So the plan is to leave them there. That way, as much carbon is sequestered as possible in through the trees and into the soil. And there is loads of space. So in Madagascar, for example, 90% of Madagascar has been deforested. There is no shortage for planting trees in previously deforested land around the world. So yeah, the plan is to plant them, protect them, and leave them there.
And how is this working? Because if I now pay money, and it's
goes through your channel, and then basically the 85% is coming to Madagascar, and there's coming money, and trees are planted. But you don't have, if I got that correct, at least in one of the side sentences that you said, you don't have the ownership of the trees. So the ownership stays with someone else. So he can do whatever he wants with the tree. He can wait till it's big enough to sell the wood, because wood prices are so nice.
Yeah.
And how's that dealt with? Because otherwise, the only thing that I have done is I have helped someone to make a better profit on basically doing what is called harvest business.
Yeah, it's a fair point. So to use the Madagascar example again, the Madagascar, it's on government-owned land, and our partner there, a partner called Lead in Reforestation, has long-term agreements with the government that this land will be protected for 100+ years. So of course that is always a risk, but most importantly, the right financial incentives are created for the communities on the ground. So again, to use the example of Madagascar, the trees provide livelihoods for local people, not just to plant and protect the trees. That 85% also goes to protecting the trees. So they make money from that. The mangroves also enhance tourism, they enhance fisheries, all these sorts of things. Another partner that we have focuses on planting trees that yield lots of fruit. And so the owners of those trees, the communities from those trees, are able to sell that fruit to make a livelihood, and also to reduce their own food insecurity. So it's about creating the right financial incentives for the people on the ground to protect it.
So you're giving the spark that the tree is planted, but that's what basically Selva then is about. So that, of course, you're looking after it, but the real thing is, oh, I feel better because I have given some money, that by that money, basically, new trees are planted. Whatever is done with them, tree in itself is good. So more trees is better. So that's the same.
Yeah, we're trying to mobilize mass reforestation because it's one of the most important climate tools we have.
In addition, you're supporting the customers or the people in marketing their personal effort to reduce the CO2, right?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
I think the additional advantage is that you support the people, the customers, to market their personal CO2 reduction.
Yeah.
By not telling them you're bad persons because of your CO2 emissions, but you can, as you mentioned before, this is your idea is to be positive about this.
Yeah.
So yes, you also help them to using the platform. You also help them to give them the chance to get have a voice and to put them on their social networks and whatever, right? So this is something we also. The one thing is the forest, the planting. The other thing is to help the users to talk about this.
Yeah, exactly.
People feeling, mood.
Yeah, people love virtue signaling. Yeah. Oh, aren't I great? Yeah. And I'd be lying if we said we're not playing into that a little bit. Mm-hmm. We want people to say, "Oh, look at me, I'm planting loads of trees."
What's speak about it? Do good and speak about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. There's nothing wrong with it.
You're looking for 200K. What's your valuation value?
Post money of 1.2 million. 1.2. 1.2. So it's roughly about 16%. Okay, awesome.